Lena wakes early. Not because she has to, she just wants to. While other teenagers scroll through their phones or grumble through alarms, Lena moves gently through her routine, feeling the edge of her window, pouring exactly the right amount of tea, tying her shoes with practiced precision. Her days are quiet. No parties. No noise. Just moments. And at the center of every day is music. At school, she sits at the edge of the cafeteria, earbuds in, head low. She listens not just to melodies, but to the shape of music. Where others hear notes, she hears spaces. Weight. Grief. Breath. After class, she walks to the community center. She knows the steps by count. Knows where the railing changes texture. Knows how to unlock the side door that creaks too loud in winter. No one ever stops her. The staff know her by heart. And inside, in the corner room with dust in the light, sits an old upright piano. She runs her fingers along the cover before lifting it, like greeting an old friend. Then sits. And plays. She doesn't warm up. She doesn't test. She just enters. Her fingers float into Chopin, Ravel, Satie, always rearranged slightly, because she's never read the sheet music. She learned it all by ear. By emotion. Sometimes, a janitor pauses at the door. Sometimes a child peeks in. No one interrupts. Because there's something in her playing that says, this isn't performance, it's confession. And on the wall behind her, taped to the faded paint, is a photo torn from a magazine. Victor Rollin. Playing at Carnegie Hall. Lena can't see it. But she knows exactly who it is. At night, Lena sits cross-legged on her bedroom floor, her fingers pressed to her old cassette player. She listens. Not to radio pop or soft lullabies, but to recordings of Victor Rollin, the world-renowned pianist. His live performances. His studio albums. His interviews, even. To her, Victor is more than a pianist. He's a language. Every note he plays is so precise it cuts clean through air. She's memorized entire pieces just from hearing him once. Clair de Lune. La Campanella. The Firebird Suite. His version is more aggressive than others. Lena knows every pause he takes, every breath between measures. She doesn't need to see the stage. She can feel where his energy shifts. When he leans into passion. When he lets a note hang longer than the sheet demands. To others, Victor is brilliance. To Lena, he's proof. Proof that even though she'll never read music or perform under spotlights, there's something universal about sound, something she can reach. She smiles whenever she hears him speak. His voice is cold, sure of itself. Sometimes arrogant. But to Lena, even arrogance sounds like clarity. One night, as she listens to a rare interview, the interviewer asks him, "What about blind musicians? Do you believe talent can overcome that?" Victor's answer is sharp. Unapologetic. Technique matters. Precision matters. Emotion is not enough. You can't play what you can't see. Lena's hand slowly lifts from the cassette player. She doesn't react. Not right away. But later, she sits at the piano. And plays the same piece he just spoke about. Softly. With more soul than he's ever allowed himself to feel. And in that moment, she doesn't idolize him. She makes him her rival. It starts as just another Monday. Lena walks into the community center, cane in one hand, bag over her shoulder, same path she's walked 100 times. But when she enters the front lobby, something's different. A flyer. New. Crisp. Just posted. She hears it flapping slightly as the door closes behind her, and asks the receptionist, "Is that a new flyer?" The woman behind the desk hesitates, then says, "Oh, yes. It's for a piano master class in the city. Very exclusive." Lena steps closer. Her fingers lightly touch the paper. "Can you read it to me?" The receptionist smiles and begins. The Victor Rollin International Masterclass. A one-night live audition with Maestro Rollin himself. Finalists will be invited to train under him for 6 weeks, followed by a televised performance. Applicants must be under 20 and perform a classical piece of their choice, live, before a panel of judges. The name Victor Rollin hits Lena like a tremor. She says nothing at first. Just stands there, hearing her own pulse rise. There's a website for applications, the woman adds gently. I think it's already filling up. Lena turns slowly, lips barely parted. Do you think I could apply? The receptionist hesitates. I mean, sure. If you want to. But the pause says everything. And Lena hears it. Later that night, she tells her music teacher. He doesn't pause. He doesn't doubt. You're not going to apply, he says. You're going to audition. And with trembling fingers and a heart full of something she hasn't named yet, Lena records a 30-second clip. No edits. No effects. Just her. Her piano. Her breath. Her truth. And hits submit. The city feels loud. Faster. Brighter. Even though Lena can't see it, she can feel the hum of neon lights and crowds pressing against glass. She grips her cane tightly as she steps into the towering auditorium, the echo of her footsteps swallowed by polished marble and murmuring prodigies. All around her, young musicians tune and flex their fingers, comparing sheet music, running scales, wearing sleek clothes and sharper smiles. Lena stands alone, her posture small, her clothes plain, her eyes hidden behind tinted glasses. The only sound she's focused on is the piano behind the closed doors at the end of the hall. Whispers start the moment she arrives. Is she lost? No way, she's here to audition. That's gotta be some charity submission. She keeps her chin level, ignoring them, but she hears everything. Someone even laughs and says, "Hope she can at least find the piano." One girl offers her fake kindness. "Do you want me to tell them you're here to observe?" Lena just nods softly. "No. I'm here to play." Inside, the judges are seated, 3 figures in suits behind a long table. And at the center, Victor Rollin. Immaculate suit. Posture like royalty. Expression unreadable. When her name is called, there's a murmur from the staff. A moment of hesitation. Then the doors open. Lena steps in. Her cane taps the wood once, twice, and then she folds it, tucks it under her arm, and walks straight to the piano. Confident. Controlled. Victor leans slightly to the woman beside him and says, soft, amused, "Let's see if she can find middle C." And Lena sits. Back straight. Hands trembling ever so slightly over the keys. And even before the first note, you can feel it. She's not here to compete. She's here to be heard. Lena sits in silence for a moment longer than most. Not out of hesitation, but reverence. She places her fingers lightly on the keys, not fumbling, not guessing. Her body leans into the piano like it's part of her, like it breathes when she does. Then, she begins. It's not flashy. No fast runs or thunderous chords. It's soft. Honest. A delicate rendition of Debussy's Reverie. Slower than most. Dreamlike. Woven with feeling that sheet music can't teach. The room falls still. Even the girl who mocked her outside stops whispering. One judge leans forward. But not Victor. He watches her fingers like they're a malfunctioning machine. Expression flat. Arms crossed. To him, it isn't brilliance, it's imperfection. And 30 seconds in, just as the melody starts to bloom, he raises his hand. That's enough. Lena stops mid-phrase. Her fingers freeze. For a moment, she's not sure he's talking to her. Then he leans back in his chair and says, "We're looking for technical precision, not sentimentality." One of the other judges shifts awkwardly. Victor goes on, cool and final. "She lacks control. It's too fragile. She's not ready." He doesn't look at her. Not really. Lena stays seated for another beat, then stands, quietly, slowly, folds her cane, and walks out without a word. But her silence is louder than his critique. Because in her chest, something isn't breaking. It's hardening. As she steps out into a hallway, the low murmur of the waiting contestants returns, but this time, it's quieter. A few avoid her entirely. Some glance up, then down, unsure of what they just witnessed. Lena doesn't cry. She doesn't run. She finds the bench outside, unfolds her cane, and places it across her knees like a line drawn in silence. Inside, the next applicant is already playing, louder, faster, flawless on paper. But something about it sounds empty. Because for 30 seconds, the room felt something. Victor may have dismissed it as weakness, but the other two judges exchange a look. One finally whispers, "There was something in her touch." Victor doesn't answer. He's already looking down at his notes, drawing a line through her name. Meanwhile, out in the hall, Lena pulls out her recorder. Not her phone. Not a camera. Just a small, pocket-sized voice recorder. She lifts it to her lips and whispers softly into the mic. "I gave them 30 seconds. One day, they'll wish I gave them more." She presses stop, stands up, and walks toward the exit. As she pushes the door open, someone down the hall watches her go, unseen. A journalist. Holding a phone. Still recording. Later that evening, the audition footage is reviewed by the selection team. They scrub through performances, critiquing phrasing, posture, tempo. But when Lena's turn comes up, they notice something odd. Her clip is incomplete. 30 seconds. Cut off. No commentary saved. No technical scores. Just a short, awkward silence after Victor's hand gesture, and then static. One junior assistant dares to ask, "Did we disqualify her? Or was she never scored?" Victor replies without looking up. "She didn't meet the bar. She was lucky to be invited." The others say nothing. But the moment that mattered wasn't in the conference room. It was already online. Because that journalist who recorded Lena's exit? She'd posted a 45-second clip to her personal page that night. "Blind girl's audition cut short by world-famous pianist. Listen before you judge." No fancy editing. No narrative. Just Lena. Her hands. Her face. The way she breathed through the keys. And by morning, it had over 2 million views. Comments flooded in. "She made me cry in 20 seconds. Victor cut her short because she made him feel something he's forgotten. Emotion is not weakness. It's music." Victor Rowland woke up to headlines he didn't expect. And Lena? She was already back at her community piano, unaware of the storm she'd started. Lena doesn't know she's gone viral. Not yet. She returns home that night in silence, walking the familiar steps from the train to her front door like she's shedding layers of hope with each footfall. Her mother meets her in the kitchen with tea and a soft, unsure smile. She asks, "How was it?" Lena hesitates, then simply says, "Short." She doesn't explain. Doesn't share what Victor said. Doesn't mention the way her fingers were trembling when she walked off stage, not from nerves, but from the restraint it took not to cry. That night, she lies awake, hand on her chest, feeling the hollow ache where her dream used to sit. And still, she doesn't give up. The next day, she's back at the community center, waiting for the piano room to open. She slides her fingers along the chipped keys and begins to play, not Debussy this time, not Ravel, something new. Something hers. No camera. No audience. No judges. Just her. And as she plays, the melody starts broken, then bold, then defiant. A janitor hears it from the hallway. Pauses. Listens. And somewhere, her music teacher receives a text from a stranger. "Is this your student? Because the world is listening now." Lena is still playing when the door creaks open. She doesn't stop. She knows that footstep, that shuffle, the smell of old wool and pine cologne. It's Mr. Calloway, her longtime piano teacher. He says nothing at first. Just listens. Waits until her final note fades like a breath at the edge of winter. "They didn't deserve that," he says softly. She lowers her hands, sits still. "It wasn't perfect. It wasn't meant to be." He walks toward her, each step echoing in the quiet room. "You don't play to impress, Lena. You play to release. That's what he didn't understand. She doesn't speak. So he kneels beside her, gently placing his hand over hers. Let him have the spotlights. Let him chase perfection. But you gave them something they couldn't forget, even when they tried. She turns her face toward him, lips trembling. I wanted to prove I was more than just a story. Then don't stop now. Because Lena, what you are can't be taught. He pulls a folded paper from his coat. It's a printed screenshot from her viral video. Her name is trending online. Her face is on music blogs. People want to know who she is. They're listening now. You still want to be heard? Lena holds the paper for a long moment, tracing the edge with her fingers. Then she nods. Yes. But not for them. Not for him. Then for who? For the music. 3 days pass. Lena's name is everywhere, but not in the list of finalists released by the competition. No mention. No credit. No acknowledgement. It's as if she never auditioned at all. Online outrage brews fast. Clips of her short performance are shared by musicians, celebrities, and even a few former students of Victor Rollin. Hashtags trend globally. Hashtag let Lena play. Hashtag emotion is talent. Hashtag blind but brilliant. Music blogs post think pieces. Reaction videos go viral. A petition garners 200,000 signatures in 48 hours. Victor stays silent. Until the organizers call an emergency press meeting. On stage, under the heat of cameras and uncomfortable questions, the host clears her throat. Due to overwhelming public support and media attention, we've decided to extend a special exhibition invitation to Lena Ashton, who will be offered a non-competitive performance slot at the final concert. The words sound generous, polished. But Lena hears the truth behind them when she's told in private. You can play, but you won't be judged. You won't be ranked. You're not an official finalist. A courtesy. A PR move. But she accepts. Because it's not about the prize anymore. It's about proving the music doesn't need their permission to be real. Victor sits in his private practice room, surrounded by polished silence, mahogany walls, and a grand piano worth more than most homes. He's watching the video again. Lena's video. This time, not for the first note, but for something else, the stillness in her face. The way her head tilts, like she's listening to something the audience can't hear. He pauses at mid-frame. His jaw tightens. He's received 3 calls from the board, 5 from sponsors, and 1 from a former student who told him. She played what you've forgotten. He wanted to ignore it. But silence doesn't help his reputation. So he picks up the phone and leaves a message with the producers. Extend the offer. 1 piece. Exhibition only. And make it clear, this is a favor, not validation. He hangs up. Clenches his fists. Because what he won't admit, not to his assistants, not to the board, not even to himself, is this. For the first time in years, someone made him feel something when they touched a piano. And it terrified him. The offer arrives by email, formal and rehearsed. You've been invited to perform a non-competitive exhibition piece at the Victor Rollin Masterclass Gala performance. Lena reads it out loud to her music teacher, voice even, almost unreadable. Will you do it? He asks. She nods. No speeches. No revenge fantasy. Just a simple decision, yes. But from that moment on, she disappears. She stops answering messages. Doesn't return calls from journalists. Ignores interviews, feature requests, even polite notes from producers asking for a pre-show teaser. She chooses quiet. Wakes up before sunrise. Plays until her fingers ache. Listens to symphonies with her palms pressed to the speakers. Rebuilds every emotion Victor dismissed, and every fragment he cut short. She composes, not just with notes, but with memory. She adds dissonance where he would have cleaned it. Leaves space where he would have rushed. She trains not to impress, but to express. No sheet music. No coach. No mirror. Only the sound. Only the feeling. Only truth. Because when she walks back into that auditorium, she doesn't want to compete with Victor. She wants to remind him what music is. Days turn into a week. And the girl who once played in a dusty room alone is now the center of a global conversation. But Lena? She hasn't said a word. No social media updates. No interviews. No rehearsals captured on video. Nothing. The mystery only makes her story more magnetic. Talk shows debate her. Conservatory forums argue whether she deserves the stage. Musicians worldwide react to her 30-second audition clip with words like raw, untrained, unforgettable. Fans begin uploading tribute covers of her Debussy interpretation. A trending hashtag emerges. Hashtag Lena will play. At music schools around the world, students talk more about her than the finalists. Even casual listeners, people who've never cared about classical music, start asking, who is she? Why did Victor cut her off? What will she play next? Meanwhile, ticket sales for the gala spike. The event, once reserved for a niche elite, suddenly becomes a cultural moment. And still, Lena remains silent. Some mistake it for fear. Others call it grace. But only she knows the truth. She's not hiding. She's just listening. Somewhere between the headlines and the hype, an old video resurfaces. Grainy. Black and white. A teenage boy, nervous, thin, awkward, sits at a piano in a crowded conservatory. The boy is Victor. Back before the world called him a genius. Before the fame. Before the arrogance. He begins to play Chopin. And he's good, technically clean, musically precise, but halfway through, he falters. His hands freeze. He forgets the next measure. Laughter ripples through the room. A judge leans forward and says coldly, emotion means nothing without discipline. That moment never left him. And from that day forward, Victor Rollin stopped letting anyone see him sweat. He trained his hands to perfection, cut himself off from softness, and vowed that feeling would never matter more than form. He rose to global fame not because he played with heart, but because he played without it. So when he saw Lena, raw, honest, uncontrolled, he didn't just see a girl at a piano. He saw the version of himself he buried. The one who was laughed at, dismissed, told he wasn't enough. And for all his poise and prestige, Lena terrified him. Because her music reminded him of what he once loved. Before he chose to silence it. While the world speculates and Victor replays his fears, Lena is creating something entirely her own. Not just practicing, inventing. Her teacher watches quietly as she rewrites a familiar piece, Ravel's Pavane pour un infante défunt, transforming it note by note. She doesn't use sheet music. She doesn't ask for help. She just listens. One hand on the keys, one hand gliding along the wood grain of the piano, almost like reading Braille from the instrument itself. She slows down the pacing, builds silence between phrases, inserts a single high note where no composer ever put one. And somehow, it feels like it belongs. Her teacher, overwhelmed, finally asks, "What are you doing to Ravel?" Lena smiles faintly. "I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting him breathe." She trains not with a metronome, but with footsteps on the hardwood. Not with sidelines, but with echo. She knows where every note bounces in the room. And more importantly, she knows where it lands in the listener. She doesn't want her playing to impress. She wants it to haunt. The posters go up first. Billboards. Flyers. Digital screens in subways and concert halls. Victor Rollin Masterclass Gala, one night only. But tucked in the corner of the program, beneath the list of polished finalists, sits a single name. Special exhibition performance, Lena Ashton. No photo. No bio. Just a name. And still, it's the name everyone circles. Ticket prices skyrocket. Seats sell out in hours. A live stream is announced, international. Critics whisper about Victor's choice. Was it pity? Was it damage control? Or did he know what she might do? Backstage, the pressure builds. The other finalists rehearse obsessively. Stagehands run checklists. Journalists swarm the lobby, waiting for a glimpse of Lena. But she stays out of sight. While others practice under lights, she rehearses in shadows, quiet rooms, empty stairwells, headphones on, hands twitching on her knees, mapping the keys in her mind. The night before the show, she visits the empty concert hall alone. She walks to center stage. Slowly. Her cane tapping softly on the velvet carpet. Then she kneels. Places her palm on the wood beneath the piano. Closes her eyes. And listens. She doesn't hear silence. She hears breath. History. Anticipation. And then she whispers to herself. Let them hear it this time. The afternoon of the performance arrives. Backstage is buzzing with tension, tuning forks, final rehearsals, tight-lipped assistants pacing hallways with clipboards. Victor Rollins stands in his private dressing room, immaculately dressed, staring into the mirror. He adjusts his cufflinks with the same precision he demands from every note. But his eyes flicker with something unfamiliar, doubt. His assistant knocks. It's all set. House is full. Live streams up. Victor nods. Then lowers his voice. Make sure her piano is swapped out. Use the one with the soft pedal issue. The assistant pauses. It's not concert ready. That unit's touch response is. Victor interrupts. She's blind. She won't know the difference until it's too late. The assistant hesitates. Then nods. Walks off. The broken piano is rolled in quietly. Placed under the stage lights. Nobody asks questions. Everyone assumes it's a last-minute adjustment. But down in the tech pit, a junior stagehand named Danny, fresh out of music school, overhears everything. She knows who Lena is. She saw the audition video. She cried the first time she heard it. And now, watching the wrong piano being wheeled into place, she knows one thing. Victor Rollin is afraid. So while no one's looking, she radios the floor manager. Then swaps the pianos back. Quiet. Swift. Exact. And when Victor steps out for his final inspection, everything appears untouched. He smirks. Convinced he's in control. But somewhere backstage, Lena is warming her fingers, calm, silent, ready. And the piano waiting for her? Is perfect. The concert hall pulses with anticipation. Hundreds of velvet seats filled. Thousands more watching through screens across the world. Finalists finish their rehearsals with anxious smiles and frantic pacing. But in a quiet corner backstage, seated alone on a worn bench, Lena sits perfectly still. No one approaches her. Not because she's forgotten, but because her presence feels untouchable. Her earbuds are in. Not to block out the world, but to let the music bloom inside her. She's not listening to the piece she's about to play. She's listening to everything she's ever felt. The tremble of that first audition. Victor's voice cutting her off. The way her teacher looked at her when she played something only she could hear. Her hands move slowly in her lap, fingering silent keys in the air, mapping space. Across the hall, Victor peeks through the curtain. Sees her. His face doesn't show it. But for the first time in his career, he's not sure he'll be remembered tonight. A stagehand whispers. You're on in 3 minutes, Lena. She nods once. Takes out her earbuds. Stands. And walks toward the stage, slow, measured, like she's already inside the music. Cane folded. Chin high. Every step quiet, but unshakable. No one helps her to the bench. She doesn't need it. She finds her way. Sits down. Places her hands on the keys. The house falls utterly silent. Not a cough. Not a shuffle. Just breath. Then she exhales. And everything the world thought they knew about music is about to change. She doesn't bow. She doesn't announce herself. She doesn't need to. Lena simply sits at the center of a spotlight, hands hovering gently over the keys, like she's asking the piano for permission. The audience watches in complete stillness. Phones down. Eyes forward. On the side of the stage, Victor Rollins stands in the shadows, arms crossed, a tightness in his jaw he can't quite explain. Lena tilts her head, just slightly. She doesn't see the lights. Doesn't feel the audience. She hears the weight of waiting. The piano beneath her hands isn't a tool. It's a bridge. From her heart to theirs. From everything she's held back to everything she's about to release. She breathes in. And begins. The first note, soft. Almost too soft. But it lands like a pin drop in a cathedral. It doesn't just sound, it echoes. Her hands move with grace and confidence, not perfection. There are no flourishes. No theatrics. Just truth. And within the first 20 seconds, the world forgets she's blind. They forget about the audition. They forget about the exhibition label. They forget Victor. Because they are no longer watching a girl. They are witnessing a force. And in the audience, a tear rolls down the cheek of a stranger who hasn't cried in years. And she's just getting started. It isn't loud. It isn't fast. It's not meant to dazzle. It's a single, soft A, held just long enough to make you wonder if it's all she'll play. Then, slowly, carefully, Lena lets the next note fall. And another. And another. Each one lands with weight, like footsteps on new earth. Her fingers glide across the keys not with the rigid precision of a technician, but with the touch of someone who's speaking a language only she understands. The melody begins to unfold, Ravel's Pavane, yes. But it's not Ravel's version anymore. It's hers. The phrasing is stretched in places where most would rush. She lets silences bloom where others would fill. Every pause feels like a breath held across centuries. People in the audience begin to lean forward, not because they can't hear, but because they don't want to miss even the space between the notes. On stage, Lena sways slightly with each phrase, not dramatically, just enough to feel like she's dancing with something the rest of the world can't see. And somewhere in the shadows, Victor Rollins forgets to blink. Because that first note didn't just begin a piece. It erased the line between stage and soul. It starts small. A single sniffle near the back of the hall. A tissue lifted discreetly. Someone pressing their fingers to their lips. Then, a tremble in the front row. A grown man, mid-50s, blazer and tie, blinks hard and fails to hold it back. And soon, like drops into still water, the tears begin to ripple. But no one is sobbing. There's no spectacle. Only quiet, personal breaking. Because what Lena plays isn't just beautiful. It's honest. She doesn't perform for applause. She doesn't chase perfection. She reaches into every corner of pain and memory that her audience has buried beneath busy lives, old pride, forgotten dreams. And without asking permission, she opens them. Her left hand swells into the low, aching harmonies. Her right trembles through high notes like unanswered questions. She lets the silence between chords linger longer now. And in that silence, people hear themselves. In balconies and box seats. In live streams across oceans. In a hospital room where a girl with bandaged hands listens on her tablet. They cry. Because for the first time, they aren't hearing music. They're hearing truth. And at the center of it, a blind girl with nothing to prove, but everything to give. He's standing in the wings. Arms folded. Posture perfect. Face blank, at first. But as the piece unfolds, something in Victor Rollins begins to falter. It starts with a subtle shift in his brow. Then his arms slowly loosen. One hand lowers to his side. The other clenches, tight, uncertain. He watches Lena, not her fingers, but her face. The way she tilts her head toward the notes, like she's catching rain. The way she breathes with each phrase, not to control tempo, but because the music is breath. And for the first time in decades, Victor hears something he's forgotten. Sincerity. No polish. No precision for approval. Just raw, unfiltered connection. He glances out at the audience. Rows of tear-streaked faces. Judges with their heads bowed. Musicians holding their breath. And then he hears it. Lena plays his own signature cadence. A three-note progression he created years ago. But she bends it. Warms it. Lets it ache. And it's better. It's so much better. Victor steps back, leans against the wall. He's not angry. Not defensive. He's just quiet. Because he realizes something brutal. She didn't need his approval. And worse, she's giving him what he spent a lifetime trying to bury. Feeling. Lena's fingers begin to slow. The melody winds downward, not collapsing, not fading, but settling. Like dusk softening the edges of a burning day. She reaches the final phrase. Holds the second to last note just a little longer than expected. Then, with the gentlest exhale, she plays the final key. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just one pure, resonant note. And then, nothing. No hands lifting in triumph. No dramatic bow. No nervous glance toward the audience. She simply sits. Still. Hands resting. Eyes closed. And the world? Frozen. No applause. No coughs. No whispers. Just silence. Deep, sacred silence. For a full minute, 60 whole seconds, the concert hall holds its breath. Thousands watching live don't even realize they've leaned forward, as if afraid to miss something more. It's not hesitation. It's reverence. And in that silence, Lena listens. To the weight of everything she's just said. To the echo of every doubter she's silenced. To the stillness she earned. Then, quietly, she lowers her hands from the keys. Stands. And turns away from the piano, without waiting for permission. She knows. And that's when it begins. One clap. Then two. Then hundreds. Then thousands. A roar of standing ovation that shakes the walls. But Lena? She simply smiles. Because she didn't come here to win. She came to be heard. The ovation thunders like a wave that refuses to crash. People stand. Cheering. Crying. Some with hands clasped like they've witnessed a miracle. But Lena doesn't bow. She simply steps back from the piano, still calm, still composed, like the storm never touched her. And then, Victor steps onto the stage. Not with the usual command. No spotlight. No announcement. He walks slowly, almost cautiously, crossing the polished floor as if every step costs him a little more of the armor he's worn for decades. The clapping softens. People sense it. Something important is about to happen. He approaches Lena from the side. She hears his footsteps. Turns slightly toward him but doesn't speak. Victor looks at her. Really looks. And for the first time in his long, legendary career he seems small. He leans in and whispers, just loud enough for the mic to catch. I mocked you because I forgot what music was supposed to be. A long pause. He swallows. Voice cracked. You didn't play for perfection. You play for people. For pain. For breath. And I. He stops himself. Then places a hand gently over hers. Thank you, for reminding me. Lena turns her head, expression soft but unshaken. Then maybe next time, listen before you judge. And with that, she steps off the stage. Alone. Unafraid. Unstoppable. The curtain lowers. The screen fades. And the final shot is not of Victor, or the applause, or the headlines. It's of Lena walking through the stage door into the night. Her cane tapping softly in time with a rhythm the world will now always remember. She didn't win a trophy. She redefined the stage.